What conspiracy theory do you completely believe is true? Just a casual fan of this one, but that Christopher Walken knows whether Natalie Wood's death was an accident or not. I'm in the Navy and we change uniforms a lot compared to other branches. There's a conspiracy theory that there's a Rear Admiral Haas wife has stocks in the company that makes our uniform. I just randomly heard someone talking about it. I have zero evidence that it's true, but I 100% believe it. Edit. Told this to Mike Walker, who added to the conspiracy cause he said the people who sell our uniforms is run by a Rear Admiral. The plot thickens. Edit 2. Apparently there's more people saying there's more to the conspiracy, so if you see this be sure to head into the replies and give them some upvotes. This kinda blew up and you guys rock. Britney is the highest profile Disney rape victim we might probably ever know about. Her mental breaks were the result of sexual and physical abuse from her handlers, her parents, and people she worked with at Disney. The conservatorship she's been trying to get lifted is one designed to keep her silent, because the momentum of the #MeToo movement as well as the high profile cases against Hollywood folks will result in a huge financial hit to Disney. If we hear that Britney couldn't take it anymore and killed herself, it's most likely the result of everyone in her life trying to control and manipulate her, and they will likely kill her under guise of suicide. J. Edgar Hoover had ties to the mob and gave preferential treatment to certain crime families / organizations while crushing others. Also, his stranglehold on American intelligence made him a figure presidents feared. Shelley Miscavige is either dead or being held prisoner by the Church of Scientology. Something is going on with Bryan Singer. Has been accused of sexual assault multiple times in the past few decades, but nothing ever came of it. Guy was hosting parties with young men, potentially underaged boys, and people like Kevin Spacey, and has been accused of molesting children. I'm not one for conspiracies, but he clearly has friends in high places that went to these parties and keep giving him work and burying the allegations when they come up, or he has dirt on them. Seems like more people are finally talking about how shitty he is, but I never understood why these stories didn't get more attention. Maybe not Tupac, but at least one celebrity has faked their death and is still out there. The Big Mac has gotten smaller, so McDonald's saves some money. I dunno, but I swear the Big Mac used to be bigger. Or maybe I'm just fatter. Well, the government is listening to everyone's phone calls, and reading our emails was once considered a conspiracy theory, and we all know how that turned out. Conspiracy theories seem to pale in their outlandishness when compared to actual history. Not a specific theory, but I have no doubt that the majority of leaks for the entertainment industry, video games, movies, TV, etc., are completely purposeful and meant to gauge general opinions before official announcements. Edit. Spelling. Thanks for my first ever awards. Nintendo isn't accidentally leaking source codes. They want to see how much interest their flagship franchises get, and from there they decide which games to push. Pokemon Gold version's lost beta / demo from Spaso World 97 is found, and people lose their minds. Huge push for Pokemon, and stoking the flames of the rumored, now confirmed, Pokemon Diamond / Peel / Platinum remakes. Super Mario 64 gets the iceberg and the source code leaked. People lose their damn minds. Suddenly they're releasing Super Mario 3D All-Stars with Super Mario 64 on it. All that stupid stuff shared on Facebook is just a way for people to mine your information for forgotten passwords, resets and stuff. Things like but no one remembers the street they grew up on. I'll wait. Or what would your name be if you took your mom's name instead of your dad's? Editing to add instead of replying to everyone. Thank you guys for making me feel so much less paranoid. None of my friends agreed with me that that's what those posts were for, and made me feel like a paranoid nutcase for even suggesting it. I'm glad to know me being overly cautious and ignoring them makes sense to others. This is the smallest conspiracy ever. But, you know how, when you pull a tissue out of a box, there's this dust that comes out from the tissue when it scrapes the perforated edge. I swear it's designed like that, so that the dust makes you sneeze. and then suddenly you need more tissues. Rise up against big tissue. The Hawaii false missile alert was an experiment in how mass people would react knowing they're about to die. Conversely, that we're all about to die and all this political shit show malarkey is a distraction. But I'm also schizophrenic, so give it a minute before I start thinking the walls are pissed off at me or some shit. The Department of Transportation bought way too many orange barrels, so most of them have to be stored on highways. A lot of entertainment companies are money laundering fronts. Don't even get me started on Entertainment 720. That Area 51 is heavily involved with unidentified flying objects. The only difference being that said unidentified flying objects have been designed, built and tested by the United States Air Force. That Britney Spears is either being held hostage or otherwise in a very compromised situation. I still to this day believe that for every sock that goes missing in your dryer it turns into a Tupperware lid in your cabinet that fits nothing. I have seen no evidence to disprove this. Erdogan has manipulated the renegade part of his army to reveal themselves. I was on the fence about this one until I watched The Last Narc, but now I absolutely believe the theory about the CIA being responsible for the death of the agent Kiki Camarena. His death in 1985 helped spark the war on drugs because he was allegedly murdered by Mexican drug traffickers in the DFS, which was a largely corrupt police force at the time. However, some people think the CIA actually murdered him, or at least helped the drug cartel kidnap him. There are multiple witnesses who were there during his murder who place a CIA agent there. The motive would have been because Agent Camarena was close to uncovering the Iran-Contra affair, or something similar involving the CIA using drug money to fund arms sales. The evidence presented in the doc is pretty damning, and I was fully expecting someone to have discredited the witnesses or called out shoddy research or something after it came out, because it's just so wild. But so far everything presented seems on the up and up. The government doesn't want you to know, but ducks are free. You can just take them. High-end art is a scheme to launder money and avoid taxes. Reddit is run by a single college student that has no clue how to make a search bar. Automobile and oil companies have been working to impede or hide developments in renewable energy solutions. That the CIA let JFK get assassinated. The biggest companies in the world own the government, not the other way around. Saudi Aramco, for example. I got a pretty harmless one. Stevie Wonder Camp C. The world's elites are in on it, which almost got blown open when George W. Bush waved at him. Edit. Big thanks to all my Stevie Wonder truthers out there. Thank you all for this interesting dialogue. We can't afford to own a house like previous generations because money laundering ruined the cost of living. The government constantly reposts this question to see what we know. The CIA is responsible for the crack epidemic. As somebody who works for the government, some of you all grossly overestimate the government's competence and secret keeping abilities. Credit is social rating like Black Mirror. You're muted and downvoted if it is negative. I believe conspiracy theories are the ultimate conspiracy. They send the message that there is some invisible hand controlling things, meaning there's nothing you can do to change it. They instill complacency. I'm pretty sure the US government knows things about UFOs that they aren't telling us. That's not to say I believe UFOs are alien spacecraft. I don't know what they are. That the Sonic original design was to get people to complain about it and get it popular. That J.R.R. Tolkien actually wrote Beowulf in Old English and then translated it into modern English just for shits and giggles. Can't remember where I heard this, but I've 100% believed it since I did. Before you say that it's impossible and too crazy, let me remind you, Tolkien wrote a language, created a fictional universe for this language with dozens of wars and kingdoms, 8 more languages, several unique species and gods, and hundreds of developed characters. Then wrote a children's book within this fictional universe. If anyone was crazy enough to do it, it was him. That there is a circle of cultural terrorists that whisper conspiracy theories to some gullible people and are the origin of most conspiracy theories that go around sowing mistrust between factions. The US and other world leaders aren't some genius masterminds with infinite knowledge, resources, and information, but are a bunch of people in way over their heads barely keeping their shit together, with one trip away from ducking everything up. Personally, this terrifies me more than if they were evil masterminds. At least those are in control. The government was behind #THROWBACKTHURSDAY in order to get us to digitize and upload pictures that they would not have had access to in order to help improve age progression / facial recognition algorithms. Calling healthcare workers heroes is a deliberate ploy by the powers that be, so that at the end of all this COVID shit and there is a pile of us dead, the conversation isn't about how the government and hospitals fucked up, but our heroic sacrifice. The lost cosmonauts. I think it's absolutely possible that there were attempts by the CCCP to launch manned aircraft into space before Gagarin, and that some of the cosmonauts died. The US military is a huge lobbyist behind not adopting socialized healthcare and college, because those are the two main reasons that people join the military. With socialized healthcare and college, recruit numbers would plummet, and we would no longer be the military powerhouse that we currently are. Ancestry DNA and the rest of those ancestry websites are run by the government to have access to people's DNA, to cross-reference crimes, etc. Everyone I tell about this tells me I'm overreacting, and it's just a conspiracy. But I strongly believe large companies who use eco-friendly products around customers only do it to make themselves look good, and to make the customer feel like pollution is their fault when they use, for example, plastic straws, when in reality using eco-friendly straws barely dents the amount of pollution the company itself makes behind the scenes. Drug companies could easily get male birth control to market. That Flight 93 was shot down by the US military on 9/11. If you know that 2 hijacked planes were flown into the WTC and 1 into the Pentagon, and that a 4th hijacked plane is headed for the White House. You take it down. Period. If you can take it down over a rural area, all the more better, which it was. I think they took the best option in a worst case scenario and made the passengers out to be heroes. And rightfully so, because the people on that plane were already heroes to somebody in their lives. It sounds crazy, but I'm getting a sneaking suspicion that the Earth just might be spherical after all. I'm still to this day skeptical that a low-level hood like Jack Ruby, a man with ties to organized crime, and at a time when J. Edgar Hoover was giving no attention to organized crime, that Ruby, owner of a strip club, would be so incensed over the shooting of JFK, would be motivated above all others to assassinate Lee Harvey Oswald. It defies any logic. The UFO footage that just got released recently was a purposeful distraction from current events. Mattress stores are just money laundering fronts. I'm 95% certain Monty Python and the Holy Grail is not historically accurate, and that medieval knights didn't go about banging coconut halves together to make horse riding sounds. The American government wants to keep us poorly educated and unhealthy, just enough to be too busy to stand up for ourselves. Carol Baskin didn't kill her husband. I believe he was heavily involved with drugs, and that's the reason why everything he touched turned to gold. I think he flew drugs over to Mexico and it all went wrong and never made it back. We're all puppets, and social media and news corporations are the puppet masters. Watch The Social Dilemma on Netflix if you're curious. I'm seriously frustrated at the lack of control that we have, and that I have, when it comes to social media. However bad you think it is, it's probably worse. Women's clothes have small / non-existent pockets to make us buy purses. Edit. If this is enough to set you to go off on a sexist rant, please reevaluate your life choices. Most of the conspiracies around it are likely bullshit. but there's no way in hell we know all the details of 9/11. My school is encouraging students to do the self-administered COVID test, knowing most students will probably do it wrong, so they can inflate their negative test results. More healthy students on campus means more revenue from on-campus housing, meal plans, and other service fees. That most popular conspiracy theories are propagated by large corporations to distract us from actual problems. The official story in the deaths of JFK, Princess Diana and Jeffrey Epstein are lies. The reason Disney came out with a movie called Frozen was so that when you googled Disney Frozen you would get search results about the movie and not about Walt Disney's body supposedly being cryogenically frozen. When I was in my teens, that Tupac was alive and would come back for an album. I want to say it was the Theory of Sevens or something. I'm a bit more critical of what I read now. That most conspiracy theories are invented, or at least perpetuated by the government, so people will disregard the real ones. Epstein didn't kill himself. My cheese is secretly spying on me for the French government. My girlfriend and her dad both completely believe in Bigfoot. Classically a B, Ben Shapiro's sister, is funded by YouTube because I always see her ads. The world ended in 2012, and we are all in a simulation that keeps increasing in difficulty. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.